deadly snake. The mamba can kill 15 grown men with just one bite. So it's not surprising that it has a bit of a reputation, wouldn't you say? This clip shows the lethal snake getting into an altercation with a mongoose.
The slender mongoose, a notorious snake killer.
The mongoose has its own reputation to uphold. It's no lightweight either. Not only is it lightning fast, but it has razor-sharp teeth and can usually hold its own with a suitable opponent. So which of these two mortal enemies will be left standing in the winner's circle at the final bell? One of the most venomous snakes in the world, or the brave little mongoose who is notorious for killing snakes? You might be quite surprised. Two of the most lethal predators on the planet, one relies on her venom, the other is immune to such danger due to special mutated chemical receptors in its body. Venom simply bounces off, a little like water off a duck's back. How handy would that be? As such, the fight is a pretty one-sided affair, and the 5-pound mongoose takes out the snake with a swift snap to the back of the head, severing its spine. Alive but paralyzed, the mamba will make a hearty meal for the pint-sized predator. Rolling around in their enclosure when things start to get a little heated. This was what happened to a spectator who was filming two tigers at the Loro Park Zoological Foundation in 2010. Two Bengal tigers, one a hybrid of a Bengal and a Siberian and the other simply Bengal, went toe-to-toe right before the eyes of visitors. The male hybrid tiger, Prince, is almost pure white with a few pale stripes hinting at his breed. Saba, his companion, has the more normal tiger coloration. Both were hand-reared and trained to appear on TV shows and in circuses. They live a charmed life on their own little island with a moat to swim in and a great diet. But as this clip shows, they don't always get along. The white tiger starts off as the more submissive of the two, lying on his back. This doesn't last long, however, as he is slightly bigger than Saba and clearly isn't in the mood. Like a couple of oversized domestic cats, there's always an element of rivalry. But who do you think would win out of these two? Prove fatal if they become infected. These snakes will also take on anything given half the chance, including an unsuspecting honey badger. This clip shows the hungry badger sniffing around the undergrowth looking for food, when, unbeknownst to him, the mole snake is plotting a sneak attack. Out of nowhere, he rears up and bites him on the head. This is the badger's weak spot, and he quickly becomes angry. Who could blame him? Most would take off in search of easier prey, but not the honey badger. He's not easily deterred. In fact, there isn't much that scares this guy, and he's determined to secure himself a hearty meal. The pair battle it out for a few minutes, with the snake biting him on the head and the badger trying to grab hold of his slippery opponent. When all seems lost, the badger finally immobilizes the snake's jaws and the fight is over. He sits down to rest and enjoys the spoils of a battle well fought. For the male musk ox, the mating season is very serious business. Not only must he win the affections of a female companion, but he may have to fight to the death to do it. This footage is taken in the tundra, Russia, where wide open spaces and windswept hills are the norm. And it's cold. So cold that even the trees aren't keen to grow here. So the animals are tough. The mating season, or rut, starts in late summer between August and October when the musk ox shed their warm, woolly underlayer. Resulting calves are born in the spring after an 8 to 9 month pregnancy. Preparation time prior to mating is considered dangerous, particularly for last season's calves. They're best to stay out of the way as the larger males, hormones pumping through their veins, become moody and start going through the motions of battle. Fortunately, many of their features help them out in the wild arena. Their headgear acts as a natural crash helmet, and their thick horns and skulls act as shock absorbers, similar to airbags in today's modern vehicles. The males face off in a fight to establish dominance, sometimes charging it up to 25 miles an hour. The impact not only echoes out across the tundra, it's also clearly visible within the body of each musk ox as they collide. It's no surprise that there's a pecking order here, and the lower bulls soon learn to back down and let the big boys get down to business. The rest of the herd clears off to make the most of the lush and ice-free open meadows, ensuring everyone is well fed before the weather turns again. One giant killer hornet is enough to send shivers down your spine. Imagine a whole army of them. A ghastly scene met this videographer who filmed a war between two colonies. These vicious winged characters pull out all the stops when it comes to beating their opponents. And with resources, territories, and survival of a new generation at stake, it was a fight to the death. As the battle unfolds, the huge hornets use all manner of techniques, each risking their life for their kingdom. Not only does its stinger pack a serious punch, but that's not the only weaponry in its arsenal. These things are lethal. They will stop at nothing to win. Mandibles located on the outside of the hornet's mouth can slice through the bodies of both prey and enemies, with this footage showing the hideous result as heads literally roll off victims left, right, and center. These mandibles are capable of cutting, chewing, and tearing food apart, and are apparently quite handy when it comes to carrying their dead victims around. They're obviously a versatile bunch, and are certainly not to be messed with. It would be fair to say that it's not often a crocodile is taken by surprise, but this clip shows it does happen. The anaconda spends almost all of its time in and around water. This helps it support its bulky frame. From its vantage point at the bottom of the Amazon rainforest swamp, the 28-foot powerhouse is able to spy on a caiman making its way slowly across the water. The caiman is an alligatorid crocodilian that belongs to the Caimaninae family and is one of the smallest crocodile species. This family has two primary lineages. One is the caiman, the other is the alligator. In this case, the caiman doesn't appear fully grown, and is no match for the anaconda, who snatches it out of the water using its sheer muscle power to constrict the life out of the poor animal. The one-sided battle was captured by photographer Kevin Dooley, who was on a tour of Pantanal in Brazil. 4 of the caiman's legs were broken in the struggle, but it didn't give up, eventually managing to bite the snake's neck long enough for it to let go and slither off. Unfortunately, the damage was done, and according to Dooley, the caiman later died. Bouncing around in a meadow, these kangaroos look far from dangerous, but don't be deceived. The docile-looking marsupial can be brutal when provoked, and danger rarely comes from outside the species. In fact, for kangaroos, the greatest challenges are faced within their own society. For the male, the most important lesson to learn is how to get to the top. To do this, he must become a fighter.
For a male, there's only really one key lesson to learn in his life.
He must spend years preparing, because the battles are brutal, but the reward is access to the females, so the effort is considered worth it. Training begins soon after the young Joey leaves the pouch, and unfortunately for Mom, she is a handy opponent. Mom can only teach the basics though, and soon the youngster's out searching for more sparring partners. This is where he will meet his match time and time again. Years of sparring will harden his muscles and his resolve, like that of the meadow's 8-foot-tall matriarch. He rules the meadow and is often on the lookout for a challenger to his title. These matches are full-blown, often very dangerous fights, so are not entered into lightly. As the pair enters the arena, Joeys take to the safety of their mother's pouches in fear of what's to come. The stakes are high, and anything goes in these power struggles. Dirty tactics are applauded and can include eye gouging or kicking below the belt. It is a truly fascinating watch. If you're not a fan of worms, this character is the stuff of nightmares. Pink, squishy, horrendously long, and with an unnatural amount of legs, the velvet worm looks more like a caterpillar without the color and fuzzy fur coat. The invertebrate has long antennae, a cartoonish face, and a body built of concentric rings, not unlike that of the famous Michelin Man, but nowhere near as fun. These creatures have also been on Earth a heck of a lot longer than the mascot of the Michelin Tire Company, and have a special talent. They can shoot jets of slime at their prey. Each worm has a pair of slime glands, located below their antenna, and from here they can squirt a sticky, milky white goo. This substance covers the victim in a net of slime, immobilizing it for easier eating. It's disgusting to watch, but can you imagine how its victim must feel? Trapped in goo, unable to move, and waiting to be devoured. It sounds a lot like the plot of a horror movie to me. Don't you agree? They might be the largest animal ever known to have lived on Earth, but the blue whale can still be bullied, as this drone footage shows. The startling encounter was captured off the coast of Monterey, California, and shows a pod of killer whales charging at and striking at the unsuspecting blue whale. And despite its generous frame, this poor guy seemed startled by the killer whales. In fact, he was probably concerned about their intentions, and you can hardly blame him, can you? Clearly frightened, the whale is seen thrashing around, churning the water with its body and tail. It's not hard to imagine how stressful the situation would have been on the animal. However, it's likely the whales were simply harassing the large whale for fun. Unfortunately, the big guy doesn't see the funny side of the situation at all, and instead appears very stressed. He is seen fleeing from the pod, and luckily for him, they don't bother giving chase. Researchers who witnessed the encounter say orcas are very playful and social, and the pod may just have been trying to get a reaction from the whale. Despite being significantly larger than the orcas, blue whales are known to be scaredy cats, and this footage is proof of that fact. Although you can't be too careful, as orcas are known to hunt in packs, and the whale may have been their next target. Who knows? This footage of the world's largest land carnivore and the world's largest seal proves more than a little intriguing. Not only does the polar bear show no fear, it's also a very determined character, desperate to secure a meal. Faced with an enormous herd of walruses, most weighing over a ton and all armed with tusks, the bear plans his attack. We're treated to stunning footage of the polar bear's pursuit of a walrus on a remote island in the Arctic. The island is shrouded in fog, and the clever bear uses this as a cover. The herd senses the impending danger as he makes his approach. The adults are seen closing ranks around their young, and the hungry bear is met with an impenetrable wall of blubber and hide. Dwarfed by the walruses, he refuses to back down, occasionally testing the barrier. Unfortunately for the hungry bear, it stands firm. He attacks a female walrus who is shielding her pup, but his claws and teeth are no match for her thick hide, and she's not given up without a fight. The polar bear gives up, perhaps considering an easier dinner option, but you can guarantee the walruses won't be safe from his jaws forever. But you could say the same for the polar bear, as hunting walrus can be dangerous. Wounds from their tusks can be deadly, depending on their severity. A defenseless baby zebra has just been born, but unbeknownst to its mother, it appears a hungry lioness has already set her sights on it for dinner. She watches the mother clean the afterbirth remains from her baby, licking her lips in anticipation. Skilled hunters, when they're in a group, it takes just 2 to corner an entire herd. So it's doubtful this baby zebra has any chance, given how unstable he is on his legs. He's not likely to be able to outrun one of the biggest cats in captivity. Fortunately for him, the lioness has bigger fish to fry and has plans for a larger meal, in the form of an adult zebra. She begins the chase and, while doing so, alerts the rest of the group, who disappear in a cloud of dust. The target has moved away from the group and is in very real danger of becoming the lioness's next meal. But today isn't her day. In fact, she may just regret her decision to cross a zebra, as one of the group quickly comes to its aid with some serious kickboxing prowess. A single strong kick to the face has the lioness knocked to the ground, no doubt seeing stars. She decides the battle isn't worth the hassle and quietly retreats before things take an even uglier turn. Wise move. Nothing dents a lioness's pride more than being made a fool of in front of her family and friends. So you can imagine this lioness's embarrassment when the hunter literally became the hunted. This footage was captured in the Namib Desert in Namibia and shows a lone giraffe quietly grazing, seemingly unaware of the salivating lionesses standing nearby. Their patience was wearing thin, as they had been stalking prey for 3 long days. The hunt had taken them across 300 miles of barren desert, and they were all desperate for a meal, no matter the cost. With her sights set on the lone giraffe, the lioness went in for the kill, rearing up on her hind legs in an attempt to bite the neck of the hapless giraffe. But the giraffe proved to be one step ahead of the hungry lioness, and all was lost as it charged at the animal, literally flinging it in the air and galloping off into the distance. The stunned lioness was left to pick itself up out of the dirt and mope back to her mates. How embarrassing. A couple of unusual housemates sharing what looks like a small aquarium bowl have a bit of a disagreement, and things become a little heated. It's hard to blame them, really, considering the size of their home and the obvious lack of water. Clearly, the pair aren't comfortable living in such close proximity to one another. The Halloween crab appears quite aggressive and rears up on its back claws, looking to protect its territory. The black scorpion looks relatively disinterested until the crab touches him with his pincers. Then it's all on. A relatively slow-moving scrap between the two, it's certainly by no means violent. Both have body armor, so neither is hurt in the slight disagreement. The scorpion seems the tougher of the two, and the crab is starting to regret taking him on. He tries to escape the bowl, but the slippery sides prove too difficult to climb. The wrestling match continues as the scorpion tries to sting the crab, but fortunately his sting isn't poisonous. It's an intriguing watch as the two show off their fighting and protective skills before shaking hands and This epic video, posted by YouTube user RamakanthP, shows that even a little rabbit can go toe-to-toe with the big guys and win. This crazy battle between a protective mama rabbit and a snake has secured millions of views, and it's no surprise given the tenacity of the tiny opponent. In what can only be described as a stupid move, the snake had kidnapped her babies, and she was none too pleased about it. In fact, she was angry. So angry, she didn't care how dangerous her opponent was. She was getting her babies back. The unsuspecting snake was coiled around the baby rabbits when Mama Rabbit swooped in for the kill. They wrestle for a while, and then the snake attempts to make a quick getaway. This is when the real fun begins, and the rabbit pulls out some serious jujitsu moves. She's one cool customer, lunging at him time and time again, carefully evading his bite. Finally, the exhausted snake gets away, scrambling off into the distance. I doubt he'll be making the mistake of snatching rabbit babies anytime soon, that's for sure. This footage, captured by a visitor to the Samburu National Reserve in Kenya, shows a lion family and a crocodile fighting. It's a cowardly attack given that it's 3 against 1, but the real reason for the fight is lying just out of sight. An elephant carcass is nearby, and both the lions and the crocodile have set their sights on it, but only one will win, and the lions want to make sure it's them. Let's face it, an elephant is a pretty big beast, so why they couldn't share, I don't know. But the violent encounter shows just how brave and tough crocodiles can be. Although the huge reptile was up against it, he had plans for that elephant and wasn't giving up without a fight. The extremely rare video was shot by Kai Banks and shows how a trio of lions takes on the big croc on the edge of a sandbank. It wasn't a pretty sight for all involved, but the crocodile did manage to escape the jaws of the hungry lions with a few wounds to lick. Let's hope that carcass was worth all the trouble.